What makes some street photographs look interesting and engaging and others just boring and yawn worthy? Well, I think it's one small thing called storytelling. And it's the way I approach street photography. And I'm going to share with you how that works and how I think about it and how I think I can use it or you can use it to create more interesting street photographs. Let's talk about it. Hi, this is Lynn Morton from shutterbuglife.com, and I want to talk today about street photography and how you get more interesting street photography. Now, I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm scrolling through my feed and looking at street photographs, and I'm going and going, and it's just a nonstop stream of just random people walking down a street. Like there's nothing interesting or nothing standing out to make me go, ooh, that's interesting, or stop and want to look at a photograph even further. I think it's missing that element of storytelling that makes for much better street photographs. So, in this video, I'm going to explain to you what I mean by that and how I see street photographs and how you can use this approach to take more interesting street photos. Now, this will be a video of me from a talk I did at a camera club a few years back where they invited me to talk about street photography. It's just a snippet of it. And actually, I'm going to release two different parts from this talk. This is part one. And then in part two, I'll talk about a street photographer's mindset for those of us who get nervous when we're trying to take street photographs because we're self-conscious. So in this one, we'll talk first about the elements of street photography. And I think that's a good foundation. And then next, we'll talk about the mindset. All right, here we go. The elements of street photography. What are you looking for? Because someone else says, I don't know what the story is and where do I look and how do I decide what to photograph? And, in journalism school, they teach you about the four W's and everybody knows what they are, right? Well, this is a good guide. Stories and storytelling, especially for street photography, revolve around a person, the who. And so I should back up because let me just redefine something here. Because when I'm talking about street photography, I'm talking about the story in a public place, usually in some urban setting where there's emotion involved as a person, right? I think we all sort of get that. But what's central to that is there's usually a person involved, right? The story is a story about someone. Because when you bring that picture back of the beautiful scenery, the reason the editor's not going to run it is because there's no people in it. And he's going to go, well, I don't know who this is about. And lots of times, even for complex stories, they always go out and find a person. If you pick up any paper, no matter what we're talking about, whether it's healthcare or immigration, or you pick your topic of the day, there's usually a person there that they found to tell the story through, because we connect with people, right? So the who, the person, is what we're looking for. And I'm out in the street photography setting, I'm usually looking for people who look interesting, for people who look like they have interesting stories, for people who I'd want to get to know. Now, you all know these people because I'm going to bet that you sat in Starbucks and saw them across from you. You ever do that? Anybody just sit and people watch? Come on, let's be honest. We're friends here. You sit there and you're looking at somebody, you go, who is that? What's this person's story? You're sitting there, you see two people and you go, do they know each other? Are they in a date? Are they friends? Are they brother and sister? Let's see what happens next. Right? And it's that curiosity that we're feeding, right? Ooh, who are they? What happens next? You're looking for the people who look interesting. Someone shows up and you go, well, this is a distinguished looking gentleman here. I wonder what his story is. And I start, eyeing him. He's uncomfortable. There it is, it works. But the thing is, you're looking for people who look interesting. And you're right, it takes time sometimes. Because before you get to the emotion, you got to have the person, right? Who is this? And why do we care? Now, you've got the person, and there's the person when you're in street photography, there's usually a setting involved. Where are you? And I think a lot of great street photography usually have a sense of place there. If you're in New York City, you can always tell this person is shooting in New York City, or this person is shooting in, pick your big city, San Francisco, pick a city, any city, or even if somewhere we don't recognize. A lot of times we do it in downtown Washington, D.C., DuPont Circle. For people who know D.C., that area stands out, but you look for some setting, a sense of place and context. Where are we? What's going on? We look at the when. So this is now, when do we depress the shutter? And as someone said, we look for emotion, we look for action. It's usually someone who's doing something. Because if someone's just standing there doing nothing, it's usually tougher to make them interesting. It's usually in the doing that we find our interest, right? What's this person doing? Why do we care? If you're just standing there, you're boring. Or if someone's standing there and they're standing outside, they're freezing to. Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought it was one of you. It's like, usually this happens a little later in my speech. So you're standing there and this person is freezing to death and they're smoking a cigarette. It's 2 degrees and now you have a story unfolding, right? Yeah. Like, oh my God, is it that, wow, look at this. He really has to get the cigarette. He's standing there freezing. And so you got you have the whole story unfolding in front of you. Now you have something that's interesting, right? So when you can get them when they're blowing out, when they're exhaling smoke, and you're looking for the action, and then the height of the action is usually where you have the most interest. The height of the action and the height of the emotion are usually the places where you have the most interest. And there's a couple reasons for that, because then we see them doing something, we know what's going on. And another thing about the height of the action and the when, if you time it right, even though you've stopped time in just a fraction of a second, your viewer is transported through time in that moment if you catch the moment right. Meaning, if someone is standing there, you get to, well, these are portraits, so we'll come to some others. If someone's standing there and you get them in the height of action, you get to anticipate, you get to imagine what happened before and anticipate what happens next. In a good picture, you can imagine what happened before and anticipate what happens next just from that one moment, because there's action going on. And at the height of the action, if you're doing sports photography, for instance, and someone is riding a bicycle, they're going to jump over a ramp. You catch them at the height. We know that they have to go up, right? And we know they're going to come down, right? So, them being there, we have the arc of the story at a fraction of a second. And so this is the timing we're looking for. We're looking for them when they're doing something, because in the doing, then we get an idea of, okay, I know what's going on. All right, I hope you found that helpful, and it gives you something to think about if you are going to attempt street photography and go out and try and shoot next. And so I'm going to challenge you to go out and use some of what you've heard and try and create something different. And let me know in the comments how that worked out for you, or you can even meet me over at shutterbuglife.com and share the results of your photographs as well. All right, so there you go. Street photography and the elements of street photography and how you can use those to improve your photographs. This is Len Morton from shutterbuglife.com. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again on the next episode. Go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell so you know when that is. Take care.